You see, hedging as a principle is acceptable. But the only thing is that the way it is done. I mean, to hedge is a risk management tool. And protection of wealth is acceptable under Islam. You have to protect your wealth against loss. You have to mitigate risks. Mitigating risks is permissible. That is why we are asked in the Quran, when you enter into a debt transaction, put it down to writing. And when you are on a journey, you don't have someone to put it down in writing, take a collateral. That is a risk mitigating action. So to hedge is a risk mitigation. But then if you are to do any mitigation, it has to be in compliance with the principles of the law. Now, if you do the hedging the way they are doing it the conventional way, it means you are going to enter into forward trades in currency. Buy dollar now against the dollar that will be delivered to you for your July payment. You buy it. There is delay in taking possession, which is haram, because it is the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ said, exchanging gold for gold, silver for silver, it has to be at par, and it has to be yadan biyad, hand by hand. Give now and take possession now. So how do Islamic banks do it to guard against this prohibition? They do it under the principle of what they call al-wa'ad. That is an undertaking, a promise. A promise is not a contract. Usually, if for instance, I enter into a transaction and I'm supposed to make payment of $10,000. I'm supposed to make payment of $10,000 to a house agent. Maybe I am a travel agent and I'm looking. I want hotels for my pilgrims in Mecca. So I want $10,000 that I will pay in Ramadan, which is going to be in May, say for instance. And I'm afraid that the dollar may shoot up at that time. So I enter into a contract now for taking the dollars in Ramadan. That is not permissible. So what do? I make undertaking. I will tell either the BDC or the central bank, I promise I am making an undertaking to purchase $10,000 at 355 naira in July. I'm not making the contract now. It is an undertaking. Then when July comes, I will exercise that undertaking. Normally, the central bank itself, it can say, okay, I will also undertake to sell to you in July. But because they are two separate undertakings, they are not a contract. Each one is making the undertaking unilaterally. Unilateral undertakings. So come July, I will exercise that undertaking, just like you exercise an option. I will exercise that undertaking, and there is no fee for that. I don't pay anything for making the undertaking. It's not like an option. In an option, you have to pay a fee. Even whether you exercise it or not, you have to pay a fee. But for an undertaking, you don't pay any fee. So come July, you exercise that, you give the value of 350,000, and then that is when you enter into the currency exchange. But you have hedged your position by virtue of that unilateral undertaking. So that is one way they do it. That is one way they do it. Another way they do it is by entering into exchange, buying commodities and selling for delivery at a later date. Because when you are buying commodities, you can do it spot, you can do it futures. You can do it spot, you can do it futures. But normally the mechanism of the wa'ad, that is the undertaking, is the one that is used. And even for the central bank, this is the one they approved for Jaiz. They have approved for Jaiz to enter into forward currency transactions based on the principle of wa'ad. Okay. This is the rationale for the prohibition of riba, that there is injustice and exploitation, as we saw. Because on what, no, yes. Yes.
Where you have a promise. Thank you, correct. In this transaction where there is this promise,
yes,
undertaken. Now, if the value determined, like say the dollar at 350.
Yes.
Now, I mean, what happens when at the date, maturity date, the dollar is like 355?
When at maturity date, the dollar, the price has moved.
Yeah.
You have your undertaking. You have hedged your position. You are going to use the same price that you did the undertaking. And you see in fiqh, fulfilling a promise is obligatory, especially if it has some financial implication. If there is financial implication, it's obligatory and it is enforceable. And this is one way, this is one area where Islamic law, especially of the Maliki fiqh, which is the one we are operating here, where it comes in consonance with English common law. In English common law too, promises are enforceable. You can enforce it by court. So you can go to the court by virtue of that exercise of unilateral undertaking, and the counterparty will be compelled to sell to you at that price which you had already mentioned in the purchase undertaking. Yes.
Thank you very much. On the issue of forwards and futures.
Yes.
You know, for futures, they have what they call mark to market on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Which takes out the inefficiency in the market. What's because of that particular, so it's as if you are writing the future every single day. So is that still prohibited?
All kinds of futures are not acceptable. Mark to market, mark to whatever, they are all not acceptable, because that is in the currency markets. But in the commodity markets, if you are buying with currency, then that is acceptable. Futures are acceptable in the commodity markets, but in the currency markets, it's not acceptable. So the rationale is that in riba there is injustice and there is exploitation, and as we saw in the statement of Obasanjo, it is exploitative, and that is why you will always have that is why in history, whenever there used to be calamity in the medieval ages in Europe, the first place they are going to attack is the place of the money lenders, the bankers, the money lenders. They usually used to attack them because they were exploitative. And even in of Venice, Shylock, the way he is presented, the bloodthirsty, merciless, exploitative merchant. Because of what? Because of usury, because of lending, and because it's a money lender. So it is exploitative, and this is what it says in the Quran: "La tadlimuna wa la tudlamun." Neither are you being unjust, nor are you dealt with unjustly. So there is injustice in it. It creates a rentier class in society that only receive reward without corresponding risk, because when you charge interest, you are transferring your risk. You are not sharing the risk. Somebody is coming with a business proposal. He's coming with a business proposal. He'll say, I will finance you. Whether your business succeeds or it fails, you have to pay me back my principal and pay me back my return. What if I lose? That is your business. What if I gain? That is your business. But you are going to gain? Yes, of course, that is what I am doing. So you transfer your risk. You take the risk off your shoulders and put it 100% on the debtor. So you will be there with your money, never suffering a loss. The only risk you are taking is the credit risk, that he may not pay. And even that you mitigate it by taking a collateral, even multiple collaterals. You will take multiple collaterals. That is why you see so many properties, they have been sold off by banks to recover their money, because they will not accept whenever you have banks writing off bad loans, make sure that they were loans which they gave to themselves. When they give the loans to their directors and to their top management, those are the bad loans. But the loans that are on ordinary people, they will always be recovered. Also, it leads to inefficient markets, because the determination of interest is arbitrary, and that is why money is not treated as a commodity under Islamic finance. When you do your transactions based on interest, you are making money a commodity, while money is supposed to be a determinant of value, and you are making the money itself to become a commodity that will be traded. What will determine its value? It is arbitrary. Also, it should avoid making money and other mediums of exchange as commodities, leading to their utilization to increase the purchasing power without corresponding productive activity, the purchasing power of the people that have it. Okay, this is the first major prohibition, which is interest. It is as though it is the only prohibition in conventional finance, which is why in Nigeria we call the alternative to be non-interest banking, because this interest permeates in so many aspects of finance, not only in banking, as we saw, but in the capital market as well as in insurance. The second one is gharar. Gharar means uncertainty that leads to exploitation of any of the parties to a transaction. An uncertainty either in either the value of what you are exchanging, or in the ability to deliver, or in any stipulated conditions where there is uncertainty over the roles of the parties and what they are getting in the exchange transaction. This kind of uncertainty is not acceptable, because it leads to exploitation. Because if you are exchanging something which you are not able, which you don't know its actual value, then you are exploiting the counterparty. Somebody, he comes with a piece of glass and he says, this is a precious stone, and he sells it to you for a precious stone. He sells it to you for 100,000 naira, while it is just ordinary glass that will only sell for maybe 10 naira. That is exploitative. On what account did he take 10,000, 100,000 from you, and he gave you something that was valueless? Or he is unable to deliver. He is unable to deliver. Somebody will come and say, and enter into a transaction with you to sell to you stolen property, his car that was stolen. Say, you see, my car was stolen, and we are looking for it, and the police are doing a very good job. I'm very confident they are going to get it. You know, this car, if it is with me now, you will only be able to, I will only sell it to you for 2 million. But give me 500,000. Whenever the police bring it, take it. It's yours. Just for 500,000. Is that fair? Because if they don't get the car, you have taken 500,000 naira for nothing. And you have paid 500,000 naira for nothing. So that is exploitative. And Allah Ta'ala says, "O you who believe, do not squander, do not consume the wealth of one another without justice, without a just cause." So any of the following is gharar, uncertainty about the ultimate result of the contract, which is the counterparty risk, a settlement risk. That is, he's unable to settle. He said, I will sell to you, and he's unable to produce, like the one who is selling a stolen car, his car that was stolen. Uncertainty about the nature or quality or specifications of the subject matter. That is, you don't disclose some material information that is necessary to the counterparty for him to know what you are selling. You sell something. You sell something without clear disclosure. You hide defects. This is also a kind of gharar.
We hope you enjoyed this video. For more interesting content, kindly like, share, and subscribe to this channel. See you next time.